Are deadlifts bad for your back? Let's discuss this. But first, let's identify what a deadlift actually is. A lot of us like to think about the deadlift as doing a barbell deadlift, so picking a barbell off the ground to stand up. And by definition, that is a deadlift. But a deadlift is a broader definition than just a barbell. A deadlift can conceptually be thought of as anything where you're picking up a weight that's sitting on the ground, so it's just sitting there dead, and lifting it up off the ground. So when we think about it that way, we must think about a deadlift in terms of it can be a kettlebell, it can be a dumbbell, it can be a barbell, it can be any sort of object that's sitting on the ground and we're picking it up off the ground. And when we start to change how we're viewing the deadlift, just moving away from just simply thinking about it as a barbell, we start to realize, oh man, that's a task that we do often throughout our day, picking an object up off the ground. And so when we have this discussion of is a deadlift bad for your back, we have to keep that in mind. Now let's think about somebody who has lower back pain. And let's say they really struggle with that movement or that position of trying to pick things up off the ground. The answer can't simply be to tell them to avoid that for the rest of their lives, which oftentimes is what people are told about deadlifting type activities if they've had back pain. Because what's going to happen is if we just simply avoid doing that movement, a couple of things are going to happen. We're going to lose strength, we're going to lose range of motion, we're going to lose endurance, and we're going to lose our confidence, which is a huge thing. Because when we start talking about understanding what makes up the pain experience, we have to understand pain is not just simply a signal from your tissues saying that there's damage, but it's also a predictive signal occurring in your brain as it scans the environment to try to understand where threats are. And pain manifests oftentimes as a way to direct you from avoiding what it perceives as being a threat. And what it perceives as being a threat is not always truly a threat. So what can happen is with an avoidance strategy from a movement pattern such as the deadlift is there can be an overgeneralization of the subconscious brain to indicate that too many activities are perceived as being threatening when they are not truly threatening to you. And this process, if done unchecked, can result in all these activities as being perceived as being threatening, and therefore you start to avoid them, and that the number of activities continues to multiply as we start to generalize that perceived threat. And as that happens, we start to see affordances start to decrease in somebody's life. So the opportunities in their life for taking meaningful action and being able to move and enjoy life and actually do the things that bring meaning to their life, such as hanging out with loved ones, playing with their kids, joining their sporting activities or recreational activities, whatever that may be. But going back to the original question, is the deadlift bad for your back? The answer is explicitly no. It can be used, if appropriately, as a tool to expand somebody's affordances or opportunities for action in their life by being a mechanism by which we can gradually expose somebody to the range of motion, to the strength, to the endurance, and build back their confidence to do the activities that they once perceived as threatening. So there's always a way to return back to the deadlift when we understand and conceptualize it as simply picking up an object from the ground. There's always an entrance point that we can start to build that back up. And so we start to see it as that way and as a tool to build up gradually versus viewing it as an absolute of simply just a barbell deadlift that has to be super heavy. Then we start to see that, man, this can really actually be a powerful tool to return back to strength, confidence, endurance, and hope.